What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin today at the request of Chris. That's a great name, man. That's a great name. I love that name. You wanted me to specifically compare Bitcoin, compare it to what happened to gold whenever it had its ETF approved, right? Whenever it launched its ETF, which I'm still kind of confused. I couldn't figure this out because when the ETFs get approved, do you launch the same day, or would it be launched a day after or a week after? Like, do the exchanges have to get their stuff, or are they just ready to go that day? Like, I don't know how it all works. So I couldn't find anything about the approval date, only the launch date for gold. We'll get into that, but I want to start off with something else first. Here from Sunday, December 17th, 2017, you've got CBOE futures here, which launched a week ago, right? CBOE Bitcoin futures on their first day of trading a week ago. So if this was Sunday, the first day of trading would be on a Monday. So Sunday the 17th, that would be that Monday of that week. Let's see, right? If this is the week of the 18th, the week of the 17th, that Monday would be this week. So CBOE came out with its futures literally at the top, right? Something big that everybody was excited for, and then it was supposed to like do really good things for the price, and then it just happened to be the top, right? And then also CME futures. Let's see, the launch of CME Bitcoin futures contracts a week after the first Bitcoin futures launches. So that's the week after. That would be this Sunday that it happened, December 17th, which technically would have been Monday's candle, right? Because if you pay attention to the futures on Sunday evenings, at least for me it's Sunday evenings, whenever the day closes for Bitcoin and it turns into Monday, that's when the futures open up. So the futures opened up on that Sunday, which technically for Bitcoin would have been the week of the 18th here, which is why I have a white bar on there. And that was the beginning of the onslaught. So literally week before CBOE futures, week after CME futures get launched, and we had a drop. That was the beginning of the bear market, okay? Next thing I want to talk about is the Bitcoin, I don't want that, Bitcoin ProShares futures ETF launch date, and it was on 10/18/2021. Should sound familiar to most of you. I'm sure a lot of you have been in crypto for at least that long. What was it? 10/18/2021. That was the launch date. So that would have been right here, this week here. Not the exact top, but pretty damn near close to it, right? Pretty damn near close to it. If you sold here, you would definitely not have been upset months later, right? You really wouldn't have been upset at all. So both of those times that the futures came out, that we had institutional players releasing vehicles for institutional money to get involved, and and retail money, of course, too, both promoted bad price action. We went up for a little bit on this one. This one we kind of turned around rather immediately. You could call those sell the news events, right? Sometimes sell the news does happen like the week of. Sometimes it takes place within a month or so afterwards, right? But relatively near the top both times, right? And then now we're going to go to gold. Okay, so we're going to look at the gold price. I have it here because I think, what was it, November of 2024? I forget. It was, yeah, because I was just looking at it. I don't have that by memory. I just looked at it, but I already forgot. So November 18th, 2024, or 2004. I'm sorry. Wrong decade, 2004. November 18th. So we're on weekly here. Looking at it here, that would have been this week. So this is whenever the ETF for gold, the first American ETF for gold, got launched. 2 weeks later, we found a relative high and we sold off. And for gold, I mean, compared to crypto, like top to bottom, a 10% drop isn't really anything, right? But for gold, that's a pretty big deal, especially in like this amount of time. That's a pretty big deal. One could say that this was also a sell the news event during this week, because 2 weeks, you had 2 weeks of upside, and then on the third week you had a extreme bearish engulfing candle. And then you went down, you consolidated for a little bit, and it put you on pause for essentially, I mean, before you broke above that high again, you were put on pause, gold, from December until September of the following year. You were basically put on pause for like 3/4 of a year. Okay, that's what the ETF did. That's what this great news, this good news that everybody's looking forward to, did. Because what happened, right? Whenever the ETF got announced, the people who were accumulating gold, who were setting things up in their accounts to back their ETFs with whatever. You don't technically have to own the underlying asset to have an ETF on it. Look it up. I think that's kind of lame, but you don't have to. Generally and normally, most institutions do. Most companies that are offering it do. But the news got released. 2 weeks later, you had your top, and then you were in about 3/4 of a year of just a dry spell. With the first month or two of that just going to the downside. And it was this great news, right? It was this really good news. But really, if you bought the ETF getting launched, if you bought the ETF approval, a couple months goes by and you're actually down from your initial investment, right? And the reason for that is, again, you've got these companies accumulating gold, and then whenever it gets launched, they're selling it. They're selling their ETF to you, the person buying it. They're accumulating gold. Now they're no longer accumulating gold. They've got all the gold they need. They've got all their underlying asset they need. The ETF is getting approved, and that's why it's sold off. Of course, yes, later it continued to go up. But I would expect, for Bitcoin to go through 3/4 of a year of a pause would be a bit extreme for Bitcoin. That would throw a lot of things off with the timing of the cycles and everything. I really don't think that the Bitcoin ETFs are going to get approved in the next week. I don't think they're going to get approved at all in 2024, because it would dramatically put a halt, an immediate stop on the bull market, right? All these companies right now that want their ETFs to pass, they want them to pass because then they can sell it to you. They can sell it to you. But as long as it's not passed, Bitcoin's still cheap. They can accumulate more for their ETFs. And then really, by the time the price is all the way through the roof, that's when the ETFs are going to get approved. That's whenever the sell-off is going to happen, and we're going to be in a long stint of going down or moving sideways. And I personally think that this right here for gold, even though it was a 10% drop, it's going to be a lot more vicious for Bitcoin, is my genuine opinion. Now, going back to Bitcoin, I hope that did it for you. I hope that was enough, right? I went over the CME, CBOE futures. I went over the ProShares Bitcoin futures ETFs. And then compared it to gold and what happened there. It did go up for a couple weeks and then it went down. I very much don't expect that the ETFs are going to get approved. If they do get approved, we might see something similar with gold, where we go up for a little bit, and then we have a long period of stagnation and downside. But either way, it's going to be a sell the news event. Getting approved, getting denied, either way, it's going to be a sell the news event. And I think if it gets denied, it's a lot more likely that it would be an immediate sell. Where if it gets approved, I think it's still fairly likely that it would be an immediate sell, but there's always that possibility where it can take a couple weeks for things to set in, of course. But I just think with all the focus, all the mania, man, you type in ETF on Google, it just automatically takes you to Bitcoin ETF. It doesn't. There's tons of ETFs besides Bitcoin, and the news, the Google, it literally only talks about Bitcoin. You can type in ETF and it's immediately going to Bitcoin, because there's so much hype about it right now. I very much would expect that we see some kind of sell-off, and that's something I want to get, for anybody that's stuck around. This isn't financial advice, but truly, I think that any person looking to put their money into crypto right now, whether it's DCAing, whether it's you just got a bonus or whatever, again, not financial advice, do what you want with your money, but hold off, man. Hold off. It's not the time to get into crypto right now. It really isn't. I don't care what crypto it is. Bitcoin Cash, some random altcoin that nobody knows about, some coin that seems to do the opposite of everything else. It's probably not a good time to get into the markets, you guys. That's my genuine opinion. I very much don't believe the ETFs are going to get passed. I think that that's going to be something saved for the end of the market cycle. I really do. Because any time that we've seen something big where the institutional money's getting in, it was the end of the market cycle. It was the end of the market. It wasn't the first top. It was the second top. It was the end of the market cycle. Within a month of the end of the market cycle, we're nowhere near that right now. We're still pre-halving. Okay, it's going to be some time. And the thing is too, we don't need the ETFs. We really don't need the ETFs. They're not going to be good for price. They're really not going to. Everybody and their mother is pretending and believing that the ETFs getting approved are going to be good for the Bitcoin price, whenever, in my opinion, the exact opposite is true. It's not going to be good for the price, especially in the immediate term. I think in the long term, sure, it's another highway, it's another vehicle for people, institutional money to come in, sure. But guys, I've said this before, okay? In 2018, 4 out of the 5 top banks in the world, talking about institutional money, 4 out of 5 of the top banks in the world, which I forget what they were, but it was like J.P. Morgan, like Bank of the United States. I forget what it was, man. I know the Bank of Japan, Tokyo, Japan, or whatever was involved. 4 out of the 5 top banks. I remember looking this up. I forget the banks off the top of my head. You know, that's not memory's not my best suit. But 4 out of 5 were already involved with crypto. We don't need ETFs to get institutional money involved. They've been around. They're already involved. They've been involved. They've got their hands in it. This whole narrative that we need the institutional money to come in, that's just a ploy, man. Who's making that narrative? Who's putting the media stories out there? Who owns the media? It's the institutions. They want you to think they're the good guys. They're on your side. They want to see Bitcoin go up. But whenever the ETFs come out, you guys, the exact opposite is going to happen. The market's going to tank. And yes, over time the price will go up. But even without the ETFs, over time the price is going to go up. This is Bitcoin. They've been dipping their toes in it for a while now, you guys. For a while. Going on a decade here. Like, we're getting pretty close. Like, it's been a long time. We don't need the ETFs. I will be shocked. I will have a lot of egg on my face, man, if the ETFs get approved. It's not known one way or another, but the fact that so many people are acting like it's already certain that the ETFs are going to get approved, whenever it's something like 60-something% of United States financial advisors believe that the ETF is not going to get approved. ETFs are not going to get approved this year, 2024. But the media is saying that it's got a 90% chance of passing. Doesn't make sense. I heard somebody say that these financial advisors don't know anything about crypto. Their opinion doesn't matter because they don't know anything about crypto. And I'm all for talking crap about financial advisors, man. I think personally, like, it's pointless to get a financial advisor unless you're too lazy to do it yourself. Like, really, it comes down to that. I think it is pointless to get a financial advisor. But these guys aren't dumb. They're not dumb. They're smart, right? They handle a lot of money, and they know how the markets work. They know how institutional money works and how the process works. And if 60-something% of them are saying it's not going to happen, whenever the media is playing it like it's got a 90% chance of happening, that doesn't make sense to me. Why does it have a 90% chance of happening when there's no experts in crypto? Crypto hasn't been around for even 2 decades yet. Anybody pretending to be an expert is not an expert. There's no such thing as a crypto expert, right? I've never claimed to be an expert. I'm not an expert. I will never claim to be an expert. I'm always a student, always learning. But the experts, the true experts in finance, the financial advisors that have been doing this for probably longer than I've been alive, most of them are saying that they don't think that the ETF is going to get passed. Like, the true experts, right? And they might not be experts at crypto, but they're experts at finance. But we have the media spinning a story that 90-something% chance that it's going to get. It doesn't add up, man. It really doesn't add up. I went off on the deep end there. I went on a little bit of a rant. I hope that wasn't too much. I hope I didn't lose anybody. But I also hope that I'm making a little bit of sense, and I'm pulling the wool out from over your eyes. Look at this, man. Bitcoin's already dropping right now. I mean, it's not like dropping a whole lot. We're still in this range, but it was at 44,000 not too long ago. We're at 43,000 now. I very much do expect that in the next couple days, we're going to see a dramatic sell-off. It's going to happen. I think we're going to go to $36,000 or lower, 36,000 to 36,500. And the reason for that here, bringing out some TA instead of ranting, is the relative low that we have. We had a nonstop move up, unchecked, by the way, all the way up here. A very common retracement to hit would be the 382, which is all the way down here at about $36,350. So I would expect that we at least see that. It's very common to also go a little bit below it, so I think 36,000 is a safe area. We can bounce off this area, come back up to the 236, and still go lower. We can absolutely still go lower. But maybe we hold it. I feel like a lot of people, and someone called me out for contradicting myself. I'm not contradicting myself. I'm just talking in a way that I know what I mean. Maybe you don't know what I mean. Words have a bunch of different meanings. You can say one word and it means different things. That's just how it is, right? Context is everything. But whenever I say that there are a lot of people looking at this $31,000 to $28,000 level, that's the bears that are looking for that. Most people are looking for the 50,000. Most people in crypto right now are looking for 50,000 or higher because they're assuming the Bitcoin ETFs are going to get approved. When they get denied, whenever they get denied, they're all going to flip bearish immediately. That's why we're going to see this dramatic sell-off. And where are they going to look toward? Well, they're going to take this measurement here. They're going to see the 618. Maybe they're not going to take that measurement. Maybe they're going to look at the price and they're going to see where the weekly closed on its weekly high here, which is also right there around $30,000, $28,000 to $30,000. That's the expected area to go if and when we drop, and I do think we will. But I very much think that we have a solid chance of holding around that $36,000 level is what I'm trying to say, and I think it's going to happen very swiftly. I think if it got approved, we would see a kind of like a slower sell-off. We'd have a sell in the news events anyways, and then it would be like a cyclical sell-off, right? Like it would take a long time. Where if it gets denied, it's going to be this panic sell, flash crash. Everybody who's just emotional and has no real nuts in the game, man. Just people who are in it for the ETF, and when it gets denied, they're out. We're going to see a flash crash. The big money's really going to scoop it up there for their ETFs, for their exchange traded funds, and then they're just going to keep scooping up all those dips, man, until we're at the cycle high. And it's going to be way higher than that, man. I think people are underestimating Bitcoin. I really think we're going to go really, really high for this cycle. But I don't think that we will go down here. I think that it is a possibility, and if we go down there, I'll welcome it. Lower prices for everybody. Let's go. And it would even make sense, honestly, because from top to bottom, that's like a 33% drop. That's a very normal drop for Bitcoin in bull markets, right? We can go back. I know I'm all over the place. Just bear with me, okay? Top to bottom here, 30%. That wasn't even the bottom. 31%, 31.5% right there, right? Top to bottom here, 21%. Not as significant, but you found support on a previous area of resistance. That's the significance there. Coming back to this one here, top to bottom, again, previous area of resistance there, finding support on it. You dropped 40%. Top to bottom here, no previous area of resistance to find support on, but you did drop about 41%. I'm just saying a 30 to 40% drop is normal for Bitcoin in bull markets. We've seen it time and time again. And that would make sense. That's the one thing that, for me, really makes sense for it to go to $30,000 to $28,000. But another thing that, to me, kind of stands out is I think that everybody is expecting it to go down there who's bearish. Whenever the negative news comes out, all these bulls will flip bearish, and they will probably look at those levels. We generally don't go to where everybody's expecting it to go, right? Just like how everyone's expecting it to go, myself included, for a little bit of time there. I thought we were going to go to 48 to 50K, but we didn't, and I've been very honest and blunt about that. I feel like for the past couple weeks that I don't think we're going there anymore. I think we would have done it by now if we were to do it. Especially as we've gotten closer to this ETF news. We were supposed to have a Santa Claus rally, and we didn't have it. I did a video on that, and the statistics added up to that. The price movement, the strength added up to that, but we just got stagnant, man. And we're starting to look here, like on this daily scale. This looks a lot like here. Let me expand it. This, to me, with this daily high closing here, and that's when we turned around, looks to me a lot like this does on the weekly, where we had this accumulation or this consolidation range here, and we closed a week higher, and that's when we turned over. Inevitably, we went up, yes, and I do think that after the drop, we are going to see some price movement up, but I think first we're going to drop. And whether or not the ETF gets approved or denied, it's going to be a sell the news event. It's going to happen, especially so if it gets denied, but I don't know, man. That's my rant. That's my rant. I hope I know it's more of the same stuff. The ETF comparison to gold in comparisons to Bitcoin. Thank you, Chris, for the request, because I think that's a good topic to hit on. And I think it's very obvious that between the ProShares ETF getting launched, between the CME and the CBOE, you can type it in, look it up yourself, right? December 1st. Bitcoin futures contracts to launch Monday, December 18th. CME Group world leading, yeah. So they launched it on Monday, 20 of December. Monday, the 18th of December. I think with all that stuff, just showing how price has reacted when the institutions do get in, it's a fallacy to believe that it's going to be good for the price action, especially in the short term. Institutional money get in screams manipulation. They want to say that the ETFs is going to get denied because it's a manipulated market. There's not enough stability, blah, blah, blah. That manipulation, that instability is going to come in when the institutional money comes in, not when the institutional money comes in. That instability is going to come in. My goodness, I'm messing it up here, man. It is instability. There's no quotation marks that deserve it right there, right? I'm like Dr. Evil right now. I need sharks with freaking lasers on their freaking heads, man. What I'm trying to say, guys, is the same old, same old. It's gonna go down. It's gonna go down. Nobody knows the future. I can't say that it's gonna go down for certain, but I'm fairly positive, man. Everybody's saying it's a 90% likelihood that it'll get approved and that prices are gonna skyrocket. That makes me think it's the opposite. 90% chance that it's not going to get approved. 90% chance the prices are not going to skyrocket. They're going to go down. And that's my rant. So if you liked it, hit that like button, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Have a good night, good day. Bye-bye.